we souls, we give regard to each one's advice. And when we give regard to each one's advice, we receive regard. Now we must understand one thing, that although the truth is, you are not your opinion. Yes, but when we live in a body conscious world, we think, I am my opinion. Yes, and when you reject someone's opinion, then they feel rejected. And feeling rejected is a very sorrowful experience. So, since we are knowledgeful souls, we don't give sorrow. We understand that every soul is very attached to their opinion. And although, you might feel that their opinion is not right, or it is of no value, or it is, not useful. But when you reject somebody's opinion, it is a form of giving hurt, and they take it as insult. So, an aspect of giving regard is also not to reject anybody's advice. Now, what do you do when you don't reject anybody's advice? Do you take that advice and start implementing it? No. So, everybody is entitled to their opinion, and you are also entitled to yours. So, you will do your own thing. But just use the right language and have the right attitude. That and the attitude is very important, because the attitude gets conveyed more than the language. So we must have the attitude that every soul is entitled to their opinion, and they are having an opinion which may be different from mine, but everybody is different and it's okay. And when you have that, then you don't reject, or you are not insulting them. And the law says that you receive the equal and opposite of the energy that you give. So when you give regard, you will receive regard. So when you reject, they reject. And have you seen that if you've experimented with these things, then you would know that, even if there is a small child, or there is somebody who works as a paid employee for you, and now in the management, there is one person who they have a good relationship with, and there is another person who they don't have a good relationship with. And in case of parents also, sometimes there is one parent who the child holds as the enemy, and another parent who is very dear to the child. And in most of these cases, what you observe is there is a lack of regard from the elder one. So it could be a parent, it could be somebody in the management, and there is this sense of false pride that, I know better. Maybe you know better, maybe you're more experienced, maybe that is true on many levels. But when you feel very entitled that I feel I am better and I know better, then sometimes what you do is you don't take cognizance of the spiritual laws, and then you start having an attitude towards the other person that you're wrong, that you're lowly, or that you are just not intelligent enough, or that you're not experienced enough. And then in your words also, so whatever is there in your thoughts, in your buddhi, will be conveyed through words also. And then your words, even if you don't recognize it, your words are very insulting to the other. And you might take a lot of pride in the way you speak, or maybe you think it is funny, but you start you are doing something that is making the other person feel insulted. Now what happens is, in such a scenario, you may choose to insult somebody, you may choose to disregard somebody, but eventually what happens is, when you say you are wrong, and when you say your opinion doesn't matter, or you say you are a fool, then the other soul, the one at the receiving end, they also start radiating the same energy back to you. And although you might feel that you're the most intelligent, experienced, and right person in the world, in the opinion of that soul, you are also a fool, you are also somebody who knows nothing, and you are also somebody who is wrong all the time. And then this vicious cycle continues. And in such a scenario, what suffers is the atmosphere and the work that needs to be done. And this is why Baba says, and of course there is karmic account involved, and creation of vikarma, and all of that is happening. So Baba says, you must understand that every soul, however much you think you are right, they also think they are right in their own way. So you have to, when you engage with souls, you have to have this attitude that every soul is right in their own way, and every soul is entitled to their opinion. And even if you take a decision to not implement somebody's opinion, you must hear them out with regard and not reject them while you are hearing them out. And just hear them out with regard. Also take a moment to consider, maybe they are speaking something which you have omitted, or you have not seen in that moment, and take a moment to consider. And even if you don't accept their advice, you must not reject them. And this is one aspect of giving regard. And when you give regard, you receive regard. And you see that when you work in a group, regard is the most important thing. So in a sangathan, in a family, in a group, in any kind of, and somewhere where 10 people or 100 or 1,000 are coming together and doing something collectively, regard is very, very important. Because when there is no regard, then there is a fragmentation and the group is broken. And in such an atmosphere, growth doesn't take place. Because when somebody is feeling hurt or they are feeling insulted, then the vibration and the atmosphere that is created there is a very low energy vibration, and in that vibration growth is very difficult to happen. So this is something that I have experienced and I understand, and this is how it works. Now there is another aspect to this which I don't want to omit. Now you see that Baba teaches us spiritual laws, and Baba teaches us karma, and there are two aspects of karma. One thing is what you should do. Yes. One thing is when you are the doer, then you have to understand the philosophy of karma and make choices according to the law of karma. But there is another aspect to the law of karma where you are not the doer, but you are the one who has to respond to somebody's actions. And in that case also, you have to respond knowledgefully. So just like, you have the knowledge that every soul is very attached to their opinion, so you don't reject their opinion because then they feel insulted and rejected. So when you have to make the choice of karma, you use this understanding. But what if somebody is not giving you regard? Somebody is always rejecting your opinion. Then at that time, you don't use this law that it is normal and natural to feel insulted when somebody rejects your opinion, because you are a knowledgeful soul and you know that you are not your opinion. Got it? So, karma is a very double-edged sword. So sometimes, you think that it is okay to expect the behavior that you extend to others. But you must understand that karma is created when you do something, and karma is created when you respond to something. And if when you do something, you make the choices that your karma is in accordance with spiritual laws, but when you are in the receiving end of something and you think that the other person must behave according to spiritual laws, then you make a mistake. So you have to be knowledgeful in responding, and you have to be knowledgeful in acting. So when you interpret the slogan in this way, so then you have to understand that when it comes to you giving regard, you must give regard because that is good karma. Not insulting somebody, not rejecting anybody's advice and opinion, that's good karma, because neglecting, rejecting and attaching are sins. So you have understood that these are sins, so you refrain from those sins. But what when somebody else is rejecting your opinion, or someone else is always telling you that you are wrong and I am right, and somebody is disregarding your advice, then you don't say that, even God says that you shouldn't reject anybody's advice, and see this person is such a bad person and doing bad karma all the time and rejecting my advice. Because if you thought like that, then you would create negative thoughts, negative feelings, and that would be a bad karma on your part. So, in that situation, you must understand that I have the knowledge that I am not my opinion. And when somebody is rejecting the opinion or the advice, then they are rejecting the advice, not me. I am much more than the advice that I am giving. And anyways, everybody will behave according to their sanskar. So if somebody has a sanskar of rejecting, they will do that. And it is okay. And in that situation, I have to be in self-honor. Yes. And you might face situations in your life where you're giving an advice which in your opinion is very good and very helpful and it will bring very good results, but somebody is prejudiced and they reject your advice and they take the advice of somebody else, and they suffer losses also because of that, but they keep rejecting you and appreciating the other. In such a place, you have to have a lot of self-respect that even if somebody rejects me, God accepts me. And anyways, I'm not my opinion. So if somebody rejected an opinion, that doesn't mean they rejected me, because they don't know me. And the one who knows me loves me, so I don't have to feel rejected. So you have to have this kind of self-respect in this scenario. And even if your advice is rejected, do not refrain from giving your advice. If you're asked, give it again and again. Even if it is rejected, you do the right thing. They rejected, their choice. You give your opinion. Don't be vehement about it. Don't expect that it should be accepted. But do the needful. You're part of the group. You have to give your opinion because, it's your duty to ensure that, you give whatever is your duty to give at that point. And even if it is rejected, you understand that it's okay because everybody has their own sanskar, and also Baba loves me, Baba knows me, so it doesn't matter if somebody doesn't accept the advice. So when we understand karmic philosophy, one thing you have to understand very clearly is when you make your choice of karma about how to act and how to respond, both of them have to be knowledgeful. And the point of knowledge that you use in the two places could be very different at different points of time. Yes, so if you use the same point of knowledge that people feel insulted when their advice is rejected, and you think that it is okay that I'm feeling insulted because God also says that, that's not the right point to use at that time, because we are children of God, we are studying from Baba, and I know that I'm a soul and I'm not my body or my advice or my looks or my designation or my label or my religion or my relationships. I am a soul loved by God, and that is all that matters. So this is something about what Baba says today. And then today Baba says that so there is this thing in bhakti which is called Gyan, Bhakti and Vairag. So in English it is translated as knowledge, devotion and disinterest. And the meaning of that is that there is half a cycle where you don't remember knowledge, but your sanskars are knowledgeful and you behave knowledgefully according to your sanskars. So half the cycle is about knowledge. Then from the copper age to the iron age, there is devotion. And then there is disinterest. So when you lose interest in devotion. And there are two paths of disinterest. So one path of disinterest is the path that the sannyasis take. And they become disinterested in their family or in their household. And because they become disinterested in their household, they leave the household. Yes. But Baba says, you also, when you come to knowledge, you also first become disinterested and then you come into knowledge. So after bhakti, after devotion, there has to be disinterest and then there is knowledge. But Baba says, for you to imbibe knowledge, you have to be disinterested in the whole world. So your path of disinterest is being disinterested in everything in the old world, including the body, relationships, everything. You have deep disinterest in everything. But what is the foundation of our disinterest? The foundation of our disinterest is we understand, we know, and we are very sure about the fact that everything is going to, going towards destruction. Sab vinash hone wala hai. So we have deep faith in this knowledge that Baba has given us, that everything you see through these eyes is going to be destructed. So because we have deep faith in the coming destruction, that's why we have disinterest in the old world, because everything of the old world is going to just perish. The body and everything that you can see from the eyes. Do you have faith that everything that you see through these two eyes is going to perish? Do you have faith in it? And if you have faith in that, then you have disinterest in the old world and you have interest in knowledge. And only then you can imbibe knowledge, because you don't pay attention to knowledge until you think that your strength and support lies in the old world. But when you understand that nothing and no one of the old world is going to serve you, you understand that nothing is going to become your strength and support. Everything is just perishing, on its way to perish. Then you start thinking about knowledge, and then you start building, your relationship with Baba, and you start thinking about having a relationship with the imperishables. That is the soul and Baba, and at that time you start imbibing knowledge. So the important thing is, do I have faith that everything that I see with the eyes is going to perish? And when you know that, then you don't have any attachment to anything that you see with the eyes, because you know it's going to go away. But what is the form of disinterest? So what do? Do you get depressed about it? or so when you start believing that everything is perishing, do you start feeling sad about it, or do you just start throwing everything away because anyway it's perishable? So do you start so do you think that I should kill my own body because anyway it's going to die? Or what do you start doing as an expression of this disinterest? Because there was this one mata, and she had come after to the center after COVID, and when she came to the center, she used to just keep crying. Tears used to just keep flowing down, and she wouldn't stop crying. And when I asked her, she said that I had COVID during the second wave and I almost died. She said, it's like I just died and came back. It was something like that. And then she said, from that time onwards, I feel like, why am I living if death is such a truth? And I just feel like, I can die any moment. So I have lost interest in life. And I feel like, what is life about if death is such a big reality? So you see that sometimes you understand many things, but when you don't have knowledge, you cannot process it right. So Baba tells us that you understand that everything here is perishable, but then it is perishable and then you are eternal. So everything that you have is perishable, but you are not perishable. You are eternal. And you will go on your onward journey. So when whatever you see with these eyes will perish, even then you will go and have something new. So in the Gita there is a very good saying that whatever is will perish, but then something that is not will come. So you lose what you have, but then you get what you don't have today. That's the law. So you understand both these things, and you understand that Kali Yuga is going away and Satyuga is coming. So you don't attach your heart with something that is going away, but you have deep interest in creating a fortune for yourself in the world that is coming. And then what do? You start using everything that you have today, everything that you know that is going to perish, in such a manner on Srimad that you do something that is called making good, or safal karna. So when you do this act of safal karna today, which is you put it to good use in seva, then you get a multifold of it in your next birth. So Baba says, your form of disinterest is not leaving everything behind, but your form of disinterest is using it fruitfully while you live, so that you can get it after you leave this body, multiplied many times. So this is how we understand disinterest. So I understand that this body is anyways going to die. So let me, just do whatever seva I can do through this body. Or my wealth is anyways going to perish. So let me use all the wealth to create a new world. So Baba says that this is how your attitude becomes when you have disinterest. And in this act of disinterest, Baba says that you know that in the end, there is this very beautiful saying in Hindi that kinki dabi rahegi dhool mein, which is somebody's wealth and treasures will turn to dust. Some people's wealth and treasure will be confiscated by the government. Some people will lose everything in natural calamities. Some people will lose all their wealth because it will be looted by thieves. But those who use everything they have fruitfully before Vinash, they will get it multiplied several times in Satyug. So Baba says you must use everything that you have on Shrimat now, so that you get it multiplied many times in the new birth. So this is the aspect of disinterest that we have. And in today's Murli, Baba says that, when there is a natural calamity or whenever there is something going wrong, and especially in natural calamities, at that time what happens is thieves become very active and they will just loot everything that you have. And I think these days anyways all our money is digital currency. So if the internet comes crashing down, then what money have you got? Nothing. No record, no money. So if you look at it that way, so everything is going to perish. Only that which you use in Yajna Seva, that's going to give you a return. So Baba says, when we children have disinterest, we are very interested in using up everything that we have for world benefit or Vishwa Seva. So this is something that Baba is telling today. And then there is another thing that Baba is saying, which is, never take weak thoughts. And Baba especially mentions, that sometimes what children do is, when you see something happening to somebody, something that is not very happy to look at, you see it happening to somebody, then you start thinking that maybe this can happen to me also. Yes, and you start creating weak thoughts. And you know that we are very body conscious. So when we are body conscious, we identify with other souls and their karmic journeys because of body consciousness. So let's say you are a government employee, and then some government employee is being framed for something, some wrong deed. Maybe you also trust that they didn't do it, but you think that that's a wrong thing that's happening to them. And then you start thinking, oh my God, if this happened to me. Yes, and that is creating a very weak thought. So you must understand that I am under the canopy of God, and I always have great zeal and enthusiasm, and I have deep faith that my future is very good and bright. And Baba says that you must check your thoughts and always ensure that your thoughts are filled with positivity, with zeal and enthusiasm, and you feel that you are under the canopy of Baba. Because many a times, because you're body conscious, you start identifying with somebody. So, when you think that we are brothers or sisters, or we belong to the same family, and some member of the family has a disease, and then you start thinking, oh, if I had the same disease. So, that's a weak thought. So, you are an individual soul, and your karmic journey is very different from everyone else's karmic journey. You are under the canopy of Shiv Baba, and you must never forget this, and let all your thoughts be full of hope, faith, zeal, enthusiasm. Never allow your thoughts to be weak. And Baba says that the stage of fortunate souls can never be influenced or attracted by others and thereby come down. Okay, so when you are influenced and attracted by others and come down, that's a sign of misfortune. So we are fortunate children. We shouldn't get influenced by other people's karmic journey, and we shouldn't create thoughts that are weak. And Baba talks about courage. Never let go of courage. And what is an act of courage? An act of courage is taking a thought of zeal and enthusiasm when there is every reason, when the surrounding around you is kind of giving you every possibility to think negative. So, the first step of courage is taking a powerful, purposeful, positive thought in the face of a weak atmosphere. So, Baba says, always have this step of courage. Never allow your thoughts to be weak. And Baba says, never look back at your past weakness also. So, not just at other people's weaknesses, but do not identify with your past weakness also. So, there was this one brother, and he had come to me and he told that I was an addict, an alcohol addict for 15 years. But then I gave up addiction, and then now I have not touched alcohol for the last 5 years, but I always have this fear that maybe I will turn into an addict again. So you see, these fears, because thoughts become things. So even you don't have to identify with anybody else. You don't have to identify with your own past also. Because Baba says now this is a new birth, new life. So leave everything behind. Leave everything that happened in the past. Let it be in the past. And just embrace this life and know that you are under Baba's canopy, and only good things can happen to you. And never create a weak thought. Even if you get a weak thought, have that step of courage and convert it into a thought of zeal and enthusiasm. Okay, Om Shanti.